Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tato's Hardcore Media. Read our video. Uh, Leave a comment. Leave a like. This one. Jeez, Osmond, do something with your hair when I'm talking to you. How would I put this on only bedpans, only fans? If you're like this, there might be some crazy women that might actually look at some of our videos. Jeez.
Hi guys, today I wanted to talk to you all about what I believe to be probably the biggest cultural shift that we have ever seen if you're anywhere around my age, except for maybe September 11th. I think that this cultural shift has been observed now for about 2 to 3 years, and when it really was codified as like, yeah, this is happening, it's when Trump won the US election. And now in the aftermath of that, I think that you can very clearly see people are emboldened by that, they're galvanized by it, and people are much more willing to share their viewpoints on things that have been much more conservative, much more traditional than what I think a lot of people would, expect or maybe have you believe. And so I want to talk today about why that actually happened, why I think it happened, and where the culture is going to be going from this perspective, right? From this direction. And so anyway, the first thing you have to do in order to explain where it's going to go is to explain where it came from. So the reason
First of all, I gotta answer some people's questions. No, these aren't the channels that I just watch all the time. Be watching Kung Fu Masters later. I'd be watching this later. I'd be going over UFOs, Big Feet later. Sasquatching and Todd Squatching. Todd Squatching. The Verve. And I could put that out finally. I could edit that out, remove that out. Bobby's Poffs later on. No, I don't just watch the same channels. I have over 1,000 tabs of stuff. I actually have too much stuff on my plate. But anyways, let's move on, people.
why I think a lot of this happened, and we've had a shift. And before I do that, I'll also explain where I think this shift is coming from. I think that we are shifting away from a more censorship heavy, a more, censored speech heavy, compelled speech heavy.
Yes,
and I think that you're seeing a lot of backlash against, what were considered to be like, protected types of thinking and protected groups of people. You're seeing a tremendous amount of backlash against it. And I think this is mainly evidenced on Twitter, but you can see this in YouTube comments, you can see this in comment sections of any game or like any video. I think that in general, you're just seeing a massive backlash against what people believe to be authoritarian levels of compelled thought and compelled speech. And big surprise, where did compelled thought and compelled speech come from? Where is the genesis of that recently? Definitely from COVID. And I think collectively, the government and the social media websites, the way that they handled people that were dissenters during COVID, the way that they handled that caused a schism in the trust of the people into the government, into these companies, into anything. And I don't think that.
The thing is with COVID and stuff like that, there's so much bullshit with that because you had pharmaceutical companies, non-governmental organizations, and political think tanks putting their money into YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, into these companies for them to censor people that had differing of opinion. Even Dr. Disrespect got that. Got part of the counting was from that, along with other stuff. But a lot of people got canceled. People got kicked off of YouTube. Doctors, real doctors. Me, I've done also immunology as well on the immune system. I did that when I was a kid, actually. So I know a lot about the immune system, about diseases and everything. And so when you have these companies censoring people and licensed officials, doctors, nurses that have a differing of not just opinion, but differing facts and stuff like that. And for some stuff it did work, and some stuff it didn't work. It made me worse. But when these platforms get paid to shut people up, and they do it on politics and because they're paid by pharmaceutical companies and these organizations, then yeah, there's a lot of bullshit going on. Same with other type of censorship on these platforms.
That's because I don't think that disconnect is really going to be mended anytime soon. I think it's probably going to take 10 to 20 years for that trust to be rebuilt, because people would be hearing, oh, well, it's going to take 2 years, or sorry, not 2 years.
The thing is that government will always be corrupt. It will always try to suppress free speech and free thought and free expression, etc., etc., etc. They're always going to be like that. It's just, when is the next time when they get caught? Now with technology and these platforms, where we could put, real facts and real news out, is that they aren't going to be getting away with it as much. There's always going to be somebody that puts truth out, and we have to call it out. This isn't like, with Watergate, and I have different, opinions on that and stuff and everything. So, I mean, you have that and what happened in the 60s and the 70s, and people got a wake-up call from that, and then they took a giant snooze, until pretty much lately. They trusted the government too much. I did. I trusted one side too much, but I always knew there was corruption. I always knew that, but I trusted one side too much, and that was very stupid of me.
Excuse me, that's actually what it did take. 2 weeks to stop the spread, and just wear a mask, this will solve it. Just take your vaccine, this will solve it. And I think that the messaging for COVID in general was very authoritarian in many cases, and I think that also there were countries besides the United States that were even more authoritarian with how they handled COVID. And because of that, guess what happened? You had a lot of people who were like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit, we don't believe this, and we want to be able to think for ourselves. And when they did that on social media, they got in trouble. Now, you can think that that's a good thing.
And where I lived, the dumbass mayor was thinking about having the sheriffs go door to door and forcing people to get the vaccination. And some people said, that's going to cause bloodshed, you do that, you bitch. And the thing is, that's what you have guns for, is to stop dictatorship. It's one of the biggest reasons why I'm a proponent of guns. So there isn't a dictatorship, and people don't warping out their minds, crazy over their minds, and say we gotta have dictatorship, when actually those shots made me worse in the head and everything else, in memory and in other ways in energy. Those shots made me worse. That don't work.
Where you can think it's a bad thing. I'm not really going to try to convince you one way or another, but I think that really the big shift.
I should say some people does, some people does. If it works for you, that's great. It's just me. Okay, I know from nursing and doing stuff on the immune system. Let's just say I know stuff that most people don't.
For that was COVID is what really started building up that resentment, and then that resentment finally boiled over and people were able to express it when I believe Elon Musk bought Twitter. And
the thing is, in California, the stupid governor shut down everything, but he was having parties. Same with the stupid prime minister in the UK and these other people in the EU and other countries, New Zealand, Australia. They're getting caught with their pants down in more ways than one. And they're telling people, stay home, don't go out, don't do this. And they're having parties. These bullshit platforms here want to suppress that truth. And they still are.
before Elon Musk bought Twitter, there was almost no avenue on social media that you could actually speak your mind and give like a honest opinion on things, besides maybe 4chan, right, on poll. And so besides that, you couldn't really.
Okay, there's stuff that I don't like about Elon Musk, but you gotta admit, there's stuff that I do love about him, and that is people can speak their minds pretty much. There's still some censorship that some of the bots will wrongfully kick people off. I know some. I was myself, okay, wrongfully. It still happens, but for a large part, people can still post whatever the F they want. And there's so much more free speech there than there is on YouTube, Twitch, and these other platforms. So, I mean,
say what you think. You can't say it on Reddit. You can't say it on YouTube. YouTube is probably the most the most liberal with that. You can pretty much say almost as much as you want. But YouTube does still have a lot of restrictions, more so than Twitter, for example. You can't say what you want on Facebook. You can't say what you want on old Twitter. And basically, all of these social media platforms that people used were used as
Instagram, Facebook, they're just.
It's basically tools to compel speech and to suppress people's thoughts. And I think that if you just take a step back and you think about this from an abstract, I think that you need to come to the realization that people don't like being told what to think, they don't like being told what to say, and they don't like being told that, and they don't want to be told what to do, right? I mean, at the end of the day. And so anybody who's trying to take.
Yeah, and with the government is that we're supposed to be in charge of the government. What they're supposed to do is pass laws and measures for us, the people. But they're not supposed to be telling us what to do, how to live, and how to think, what we cannot watch, etc. That's up to us, the people. We are supposed to be dictatorial over the government. Not the government being dictatorial telling us what to do in thought and freedom of speech and expression and stuff. That's it. When they made the Constitution, they made it for us to tell them what to do with laws and like infrastructure, paving new streets, bridges, telecommunications, stuff like that. And instead, you got these extremists on both sides that want to curb that and say, hey, we want to put our own version of the Constitution, and you can't do that. You can't abridge, you can't change that.
Take an authoritarian stance trying to tell you what to do, you're going to automatically get a negative response from that, at least here in the United
States. And like I said, you have the legislative branch, you have the judiciary, you have the executive and stuff. And the legislative is where we appoint and elect officials. And they're supposed to pass laws and measures that benefit us and laws and everything. But we're supposed to be in charge of that. We're supposed to vote on that. And we see today where we're not voting on these things. But every 4 years, more so. There's big corruption with the people we elect, where they're passing all these laws and measures without the people voting on it. They're voting on it, which they're not supposed to do. They're supposed to give it to us and have us, vote on it.
States. And so that's happened, I think, as a result of COVID. Elon Musk buys Twitter, and now all of the people who didn't exist are making up for lost time. Like, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but holy shit, there is a lot of racism on Twitter now. Oh my God.
There is?
You want to know why
there's a lot
of
is.
racism on Twitter?
Why am I saying that? I just attacked some people yesterday for that. So.
Tell you why. It's because there's a lot of racist people. That's the reason. Anybody who can speak English.
You go on the internet, you go on Twitter, like I said, the most open forum that there is. Think what you want about, people complain to Elon Musk that he's not, open enough on free speech. It's the most open platform that there is. There isn't another one except for Rumble. And that has too many problems where people cannot block other people. If they don't like them, you can't block them. So, unless you're the content creator. But
all over the world, except for maybe a couple of countries, a few countries, probably more like it, can make a Twitter account and express exactly what they think. And so, big surprise, you're going to have people that live in totally different cultures expressing viewpoints that are not congruent with liberal Western values. And this has been a very, very upsetting reality for many people that use Twitter, but in my opinion, I find it to be a very sobering fact. I think it's extremely important to know what people are actually thinking, rather than having a manicured, curated, and censored view of the world that immediately shatters whenever you introduce it to actual reality, which is what I think happened with the 2024 election. I think that people imagined this was going to happen because all of the celebrities said this was going to happen, all of mainstream media said this was going to happen, and then the day comes and it's actually something totally different. And I think that what this has really happened is that people are pushing back against basically there is a false god of authoritarianism that a lot of people online have prescribed to. They have been worshiping this false god. And I think that they are doing that because their other previous gods were determined to be false. There's always the quote of God is dead from Nietzsche, but that's only half of the quote. The full quote is God is dead and we have killed him. I think that the society that's totally killed God, there's no sense of religion in culture anymore. And I think that's by the way, that's very upsetting for many people. Religion is a very reassuring thing for many people. I am not a religion enjoyer, personally. I think that you guys probably know that. I'm much more...
Yeah, I'm not into religion either. As much as I believe in what I do with God's deities and God, Yeshua stuff, it's not how stupid religions are, and I don't respect any God, really. I don't respect any whatsoever that puts us through pain and misery and lets bad things happen to us. I've had so much pain and misery myself in my life that I would never respect any God. Never. I curse them, actually. So, I mean, yeah, I will.
More of an enlightened, euphoric atheist, but at the end of the day, I can recognize that it does have an ordering, I guess, like function in a lot of people's lives. And so when you're taking that away from people and they don't have access to what would be a way to order the universe and a way to see how things are, they're going to invent their own way to order things. And I think that the way that they did that was they replaced religion with political dogma. And I think this has happened in a lot of cases. And really, people that attach their meaning and like their identity and like their feelings onto these different movements, I think that for many of them, they're looking for something that religion or some form of like existential reassurance would give them. And I think that the movements, whether it's a political movement, whether it's a social movement, whether it's a social cause, I think that those movements actually for a lot of people now are filling the place that religion previously had. And I think that if you don't think that's true, just look at how they fucking defend them. I swear to God, there's people, you'd get less pushback from blasphemy in a lot of churches. And so, yes, people get very, very, very attached to these things because they built their entire identity off of them. And I think also this is especially true with young people. And with young people, it's that they've had unironic arrested development from COVID. And I think this is true not just for, it's like, oh, the kids are retarded. No. I
think he also gets into it's also the media, how biased the media is. Don't listen to Fox, don't listen to CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN. Those networks put out false news so much at a time. So
think this has happened for a lot of people, including young adults. And so you have people that spend, let's say the ages of, like 15 to 18 locked down in COVID. Well, big fucking surprise. Whenever they turn 18, they're not going to know how to act. And they're going to probably still be acting like 15-year-olds. And so you have people that have been developmentally, basically arrested, and
Stunted.
they've taken 3 years of like social development and socialization, and
And
just pretty much
education
outsourced
away.
it to a social media website that's fed them a worldview that's completely distorted. It doesn't represent anything.
It's what kids are taught in school or not being taught in school. That you're sick and tired of the bullshit with that, what they're being taught in schools, universities, and colleges. That is just by a bunch of extremists with extreme views. And you just want them to be, you want your kids or kids that are going to college or universities to be taught read, writing, arithmetic, stuff like that, without getting infused with political, sociological BS in it. I've seen it myself firsthand. So
Anything in real life. And now they go into real life, and the dissonance between what they believe the world should be and what the world is gets bigger and bigger, and I think it makes people angrier and angrier. And I think that that's really where a lot of the hostility is coming from. It's the refutation of those types of people that
the Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Slipper. He likes his soft drinks. I use some of mine for migraines, but we're going a bit off topic. Let's
that have
move on.
used political dogma and social, like socio-political issues, and they've replaced religion with these things. It is a pushback against those people. And the reason why I think this pushback is happening is very simple. It's because people just don't want to hear what they're saying, and they don't agree with it. It's actually just that simple. And so for a long time, you were not able to express your disagreements. You were not able to tell anybody that, like, yeah, I don't actually think this is true. This isn't really what's happening. And because you would get banned. But that all changed when Elon Musk bought Twitter. Because when Elon Musk bought Twitter, everybody who had an opinion was able to say what that opinion was. For better or for worse.
Or for worse.
And I think that we've seen a lot of both of those. And so now what we've had is that we have tons of people that feel, uniquely emboldened in a way that they hadn't really in probably 10 years on social.
And the thing is, I go after both sides that attacked others that just made each other for fun without. As much as some of it was funny, some was, there's just some stuff that both sides put out on each other just for hate and spite. It's like I said, hey, if you're gonna put something out, at least put out on something fact that's real instead of just because you're not helping your side, you're not helping them get the votes. When you do that, you're just as toxic, degenerate as the others can be. And that's for, both sides. That goes for politics everywhere. Just put out the truth on what they're bad at, and let people make their decisions on that.
Media, given the level of censorship and control, and now people are going and saying what they really think. And I think that they're doing so in a manner that is making up for lost time. And another big component for this is that I think that there has been what I would really kind of refer to as emotional blackmail that's been going on for a very, very long time, where you can't have certain opinions about certain topics because it can be perceived as being mean, or you can be seen as a bad person. I think that there's been a level of fatigue.
Yeah, like some on the left said, if you vote for Trump and stuff like that, you're a Nazi, you're a racist. And let me tell you, the turnout was huge with black people, Latinos, and stuff. And, me, I got a bit of Native American and other ethnic backgrounds. And it pisses us off when the left has brainwash people like that, and how the right can sometimes with people, and they'll use Nazi, they'll use misogyny, a made up bullshit word, made by idiots and people with low IQs. And let me tell you, a lot of the women will not be making money without men that love women. They will not be making money whatsoever. They gotta rethink that, because, well, let me tell you, I've had a few ladies in the adult industry, say that I take things, that I could be a bit too soft on stuff, take things the wrong way. But a woman, if she's into men, okay, they want a real man. They don't want some pussy. They want a guy that can take stuff, take what they dish out on them. They don't want some fucking pussy. They don't, They want a real man, that can take care of them, and that's not not a feminine guy, They don't want a guy that's like, some like Duke Nukem, just putting that out there. But there's that, and it's like, they say if you vote for this guy, then we're not gonna fuck you or this and that. And it's like, people like that, let me tell you, that's what porn is for. It's free. You don't have to have a relationship. And those women that are like that are too mentally fucked up to have sex with. You wouldn't want to go near them in the first place. But that about politics, and the thing is, we're all supposed to get along with commonalities that we have. We all want better healthcare. We all want jobs. We want jobs that can support us getting homes, better apartments, better cost of living, jobs where we can level up, go up, move up in the world, and get better positions. And we don't want inflation like the backasswardness of California or whatever places where they got $20 minimum wage. Nobody should be getting that unless you're a manager. They should have never gone to $20 an hour, because minimum wage raises inflation. I'm still on topic. I'm just going through the receipts and the printouts of everything. And we're all supposed to be able to get along on that, not be a brainwashed weapon of mass destruction on people that have a difference of opinion or even political, leaning, stuff like that. And that's all been gone and lost the past, 8 years. Or 10 years. It's been like 10 years. Yeah. So
that is cause for people, and it's like eventually, like, for example, somebody thinking that they don't want illegal immigrants in their country, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're like a racist or a Nazi. And so because of that, and the emotional escalation and the emotional blackmail that people use in order to try to force people into having these certain types of worldviews, the optics of these arguments oftentimes become more important than the arguments themselves. It's kind of like what I've said before, is that the strongest argument isn't an argument.
And that's why a lot of people are pissed off at these news organizations, because, black people, Latinos, and other people, the news started attacking them. And they say, well, you must hate women. And that is complete bullshit. We believe strongly in women's rights, and we're going to fight for those. We're going to believe in you being able to be lesbian, bi, gay, trans, and stuff like that. Trans, if you're only 18, 21, 18 plus 21, no children. That's a blood red line, okay? You don't have a right to go after kids. You don't. but with me, but it's crazy how news organizations have weaponized people into hateful, spiteful beings that have lied about candidates and stuff. They'll say anything, they'll lie to the people. And so many people just woke up and they said, fuck you. We're not going to listen to you guys anymore. You're lying. You're lying. And I believe ex Twitter, with people being more seeing the truth, able to see that. So
Many people do not operate based off of logic or reasoning. They operate based off of emotion and feeling. And big surprise, that's been what's taken over a lot of things. And also, this is a very important component. Meet the old boss, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It's not like this is totally going away. I think that we're just replacing one form of this behavior with another. And that's very worrisome to me. And I think that really what's going to continue to happen is you're going to have more people pushing back against, established social norms as much as possible, and making a push more towards traditionalism, more towards conservatism. And I think that this is also happening again because of that lack of meaning and culture. You don't have the same shared culture that something like a religion provides. And because of that,
I don't think it's where I disagree with him on going to conservatism. I don't believe that so much. I would have my liberal views, I'd have my own views, and I don't like this stupid bullshit assigning people different, being labeled. That pisses me off. I'm my own person. People should strive to be their own person and not be a political weapon or a political brainwashed tool. Don't be a fucking tool of stupid politicians, because they're just using you as a weapon. They're using you as a tool, and that's it. And it's like you should forfeit your right to vote if you don't know better. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just that we need to just have our own views, wake up, that media is lying to us, mainstream media, that we should investigate stuff ourselves, all different subjects. We should, say, hey, all these people are lying, let's pull in all these resources and intelligence, independent thinkers, and pull those in and stuff like that. They're not politically, sociologically aligned a certain direction. Let's put those together and come make our own conclusion and be an independent person, not be somebody else's tool or weapon.
you're having tons of people that don't know what to do with their life. They don't know who they are. They don't know what their identity is, because the previous things and previous lives that have given them that identity are now being taken away or have been taken away. I think probably the best example of that is with jobs. So when somebody has their job replaced by AI or replaced with automation, and they're not able to get a new one or something like that, and they are disconnected from the value of their work, I think that, again, there's something that's existential that's taken away from that person, because now they no longer can take pride and take pleasure in the idea that they have done good work and they are contributing to their community, or they are doing something that's positive. And of course, obviously, why is that? Number one, it's because a lot of these jobs are, computer jobs, and so it's not really as directly evident in the same way that, like, you can do something that's more physical. That's number one.
You're going to be seeing AI take over so many jobs, and they already have taken, 100,000 jobs away or more. So, look for that.
One, and then also number two, is they're not really being paid very well. So you have people that have shitty jobs, they're not being paid very well, and guess what? They're looking for some form of meaning in life and somebody to tell them that that worldview is not going to last. Things are going to keep getting better. And anybody that sells that person a solution is going to have a lot of fucking buyers. And I think that's very clearly what's happened.
Yep,
So what I
facts.
expect to see happen now is that you're going to see probably a lot of people who have been pushing back against the culture of, like, cancel culture and people getting, banned for having wrong opinions on things. Obviously, it'll still happen sometimes. I don't know, maybe I've got an example of that one way or another. But I think that, of course, sometimes that will still happen, but it has been much less common. And you're even seeing things like, I think that another, another benchmark for this is that, you can look back at the Hogwarts legacy, the debacle with that and how angry everybody.
Yes. Gaming. You can tell a lot from the games what's going on.
Was with J.K. Rowling, and now that there's a new Harry Potter project.
This all has to do with Harry Potter. He sometimes does. I didn't see this coming, but hey, let's.
The studio that's doing it has even said, it's her freedom of speech. She can think what she wants, and so I think that is a tremendous.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. That's what this. Yeah, it is her freedom of speech. She created it. I make my own creations. Okay, I make X-rated content, adult content. I do writing stories, X-rated stories as well, and I have 75 different characters that I use for that. In counting, some are straight, some are lesbian, bisexual. There could be some little foggy, shady, trans type stuff in it, depending, like Japan has, where characters change and stuff. But it's my fucking creation. She has her creation, and she has the fucking right to say what she wants. I have a right to say what I want. If somebody fucked up my creation, I'd be fucking pissed. I didn't go after them. I didn't attack them, So he did that.
Previously was the case where you were not able to have certain opinions about certain topics like that. J.K. Rowling had controversial opinions about trans people. Whether you agree with them or not, you have to acknowledge that they were controversial with a lot of people. And because of that, people didn't want Harry Potter existing anymore, right? And I think that after that kind of reaches its logical conclusion, where it's no longer seen as a reasonable response, and now it's just like an overcorrection that is fueled primarily by anger and frustration, then you're really going to see people kind of lose interest with that type of movement. And I think that's exactly what's happened. I think that a lot of people are just tired of having their opinions dictated to them. They're tired of not being able to think things that they believe are just a priori knowledge. Like, it is known to be the case. Obviously, there's the difference between men and women, etc.
And unless it's brought up or something, I mean, we are supposed to be able to get along and love each other as much as possible with commonalities that we do have. Instead, people like to nitpick and go after things, and I mean, like I said, it's their creation. Say with Star Wars, how they fucked things up, and they did. I was around Star Wars stuff myself. I was trying to write some stuff before it was taken over by stupid Disney. I hate Disney, but because stuff that has happened. But anyways.
And this big split has happened, and now there aren't the same censorship apparatuses that maintain the previous power structure. And so you're seeing tons of people now speaking out against it, and really nothing happening because of it, for better or for worse, again. And so I think you're going to continue seeing that happen. You're going to continue seeing people pushing back against these mainstream narratives. And I think that the pushback will eventually become just as oppressive as the narrative originally was, because that's the way the pendulum always swings. Things always keep going until there's too much.
Go back to the pendulum.
Stop.
More people seem to be using that. I used to use it all the time, and I stopped using it because I was afraid people wouldn't know what it meant, and a lot of people don't. But that's the reason why I didn't use it on his channel so much. I don't think I did. Maybe I did before, but the pendulum always strikes. The pendulum always strikes. Once it swings one way, sooner or later it has to swing the other way. The pendulum strikes. The pendulum strikes.
When there's too little, right? That's it. That's it. And so, people love to radicalize, people love to become extreme, and I think the internet has provided a perfect place for people to radicalize themselves. And I think it's happened because of the lack of meaning with religion. I think it's happened because of the lack of meaning with, gainful employment. I think it's happened with the lack of meaning culturally. There's no sense of shared culture in the U.S., at least not as much as whenever I was a kid, I would say. And I think you put all these things together and you have an existential crisis that an individual has, and they're looking for anybody to replace that. And where a lot of...
Well, European culture is attacked, so now you have these radicals, these idiots saying that, Europeans are only slave people, slave mongers and stuff like that. So you've taken identity away from them and stuff like that. And when, it was white people that ended slavery as well. And what people are being taught in school to hate, certain backgrounds, it strips that away from them. And me being, I'm glad that I have multi-ethnic stuff. There's that little bit, tiny bit Asian, there's some Native American stuff like that. And I see all the BS of what's going on. And it's got to stop, because what's past should be in the past and everything. It doesn't need to keep on being brought up unless it happens again. So
these socio-political movements come
it's not happening now. It's not happening now.
From that's why you're seeing a lot of people get back more into religion now. I think that religion is making a pretty big comeback, and I think the reason for that is because people are looking for that antidote of modern existence. They're looking for the way.
The thing is, you don't need religions. You don't need religion to have an idea. You don't need religion to go to heaven when you die. You never need that. It's how you live your life today where you get there, whether you're all evil or not. You have to be totally evil to be going to hell. There isn't just a heaven and hell. There are different dimensions that you can go to. Heaven is also a state of mind. Where do you want to go? That's going to be heaven for you. That's the reality of it. You don't need religion to give you an identity. You make that yourself. You're supposed to. Not some fake book. Okay? Not some these stupid fake books.
That they can order the world that makes sense, because the way that people are talking about it on the internet really doesn't. And so I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a very interesting thing, and I think it's going to shift the way that all media is portrayed. Now, obviously, things like this are a very big boat. It takes a long time to turn, but you can already see that happening with people that had previously problematic opinions, etc. Just kind of get ignored in a way that I don't think would have happened 3 or 4 years ago. And if you want my personal opinion on the whole thing, I think that's a good thing. I feel like the amount of...
They should be ignored. Both sides should be ignored. And they're just putting out fake news, both sides, and different sides. And around the world, politicians just want to be dictators and use people as weapons of hate against each other. And we need to stop giving them power. They need to be shut down and ignored. And people need to educate themselves against this.
As I said before, emotional blackmail and censorship and compelled speech that was on the internet for I'd say the last maybe I'd say like from 2017 or 18 to like 2022, somewhere around there. I think that it did radicalize a lot of people. I wouldn't really consider myself radicalized, but I would consider myself very aware. And now I am extremely skeptical of any type of censorship. I'm very skeptical of any type of compelled thought or compelled speech. And I'm in general the kind of guy that believes that the best reaction to bad speech is good speech that counters it. And in the free marketplace of ideas, the
Yeah.
best ideas will usually win out.
You have to call
So
it
I
out.
wanted to make this video and talk about it because I've never really had the opportunity to like really formulate what I really believe with this kind of stuff. And hopefully you guys can kind of see how this shift has happened and how you've observed it yourself. And I'd be curious in the comments other kind of barometers or like temperature checks you've seen and where you've kind of seen, oh wow, yeah, things really are different now. And I feel like we're going to continue seeing them become more and more different than what they were. And in general, I can see that becoming a bad thing, but also, especially with people being able to think for themselves and no compelled speech, etc. And I think this is a very good thing. So overall, I do think it was all pretty much started with Elon Musk buying Twitter because it was the first break in the giant wall of thought policing and compelled thought on the internet. As soon as Twitter opened up, then everybody came through and exposed all of the weaknesses in that ideology, and I think it pretty much destroyed it. So we'll see how things go. Obviously, anything like this doesn't happen overnight, but I've really found it to be incredibly interesting and compelling to watch and experience over the last probably 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, hard really to say. And I'm curious to see where it's going to go. And that's about it, guys. So let me know what you think.
Let me know what you think as well. Leave a like, leave a comment. Have a good morning wherever you are.